Chicago is filled with a lot of asphalt, concrete, brick, stone, plate glass, and steel, but what it doesn't have an extreme abundance of is green stuff. And we're not talking the upsetting shade of goose and bird droppings, which there are plenty of, but instead we're talking parks. Looking at a map of downtown like this, you might say, no, there's plenty of green stuff. But let's look. So down here, we got the White Sox Stadium, which is mostly parking lots. Back up here, United Center, this is mostly parking lots. Grant Park is mostly open fields used for music festivals. And a lot of these big parks on the west side are known to be in fairly dangerous neighborhoods. However, Lincoln Park is known to be great. Northerly Island is becoming pretty cool, although it's a pain to get to. But personally, I think this little postage stamp of green down here in Chinatown is what I believe to be the most picturesque park in the city. The area is heavily industrial, with Industrial East Pilsen to the west and a very large unused plot of land to the north, which interestingly received approval 5 years ago to become a massive mixed use development with the new home of the White Sox. But right now, around here, a lot of these areas aren't exactly hotspots for anything except rail traffic. But that's where Ping Tom Park comes in, which is beautiful. Lincoln Park is wonderful, but the design makes you feel like you're escaping from the city somewhat. Like when you're among all the trees, you could be anywhere. Ping Tom Park is designed such that you can be separate from the city, but still look and see the skyline and the cool industrial buildings across the way. There are elevated rails next to it, and you can hear the trains go by, but it's not usually deafening. They've got natural plants, a boathouse, and a field house with a pool as well. Add in some native plants, and you've got an incredible park. But what's even more fascinating is the story of the park itself, which came about due to its namesake, Ping Tom. Ping Tom grew up in Chinatown in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s and became a total rock star of business. On Wikipedia, it mentions that he won a scholarship over his best friend, who eventually became the first African American astronaut. But eventually, in the 1960s, construction for the giant Dan Ryan Expressway took out the only parks in the Chinatown area. Eventually, there was a tiny park built, but the community still wasn't happy. But then Ping Tom in the 80s made a real estate company and bought up a very large plot of land in Chinatown for a new shopping center. Usually, those stories end with the developers making a lot of money and wrecking everything that doesn't make money, but Ping Tom actually saved 6 acres of the land, which was almost 20% of the size of the plot, and set it aside. The land was sold to the Park District, and eventually in 1999, the park opened, unfortunately, after Ping Tom's death. And they even expanded the park 3 years later with an additional 5 acres. I have to share this photo of Ping Tom, which happens to be in the public domain, of him with the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago at the time. And the man just looks so happy. It's awesome. But back to the park, and with the knowledge of the history in mind, Ping Tom Park, maybe more than any other spot in town, feels like a place for the locals. It's not incredibly easy to get to. There's no large parking lot for cars or anything. It's just tucked away on the northern end of Chinatown, and it's a really incredible spot. That's all I have to say. Come check it out. Thanks for watching.